Hey guys, it's your girl Sage. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever this video finds you. I'm here with our daily bread, and for today we have 1 Chronicles chapter 12, the growth of David's army. And before I actually get into this reading, I just want to apologize beforehand. There are a lot of names here that I may be mispronouncing, but I really just thank you if you have the patience to bear with me through this. But in any case, let's go ahead and read. Now these were the men who came to David at Ziklag while he was still a fugitive from Saul, the son of Kish, and they were among the mighty men, helpers in the war, armed with bows, using both the right hand and the left in hurling stones and shooting arrows with the bow. They were of Benjamin, Saul's brethren. The chief was Ahiezer. Then Joash, the sons of Shema, the Gibeathite, Jeziel, and Pelet, the sons of Asmaveth, Berakah, and Jehu, the Anathothite, Ishmaiah, the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30 and over the 30, Jeremiah, Jahaziel, Johanan, and Jozabad, the Gederatite, Eluzai, Jeremoth, Baaliah, Shemariah, and Shephatiah, the Haruphite, Elkanah, Jeshaiah, Azarel, Jozer, and Jeshobim, the Korahites, and Joah, and Zebediah, the sons of Jeroboam of Gedor. Some Gadites joined David at the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valor, men trained for battle, who could handle shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and were as swift as gazelles on the mountains. Ezer the first, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmana the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, Machbanai the 11th. These were from the sons of Gad, captains of the army. The least was over 100, and the greatest was over 1,000. These are the sons who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it had overflowed all its banks, and they put fight to all those in the valleys, the east and the west. Then some of the sons of Benjamin and Judah came to David at the stronghold, and David went out to meet them and answered them and said to them, "If you have come peaceably to me to help me, my heart will be reunited with you. But if to betray me to my enemies, since there is no wrong in my hands, may the God of our fathers look and bring judgment." Then the Spirit came upon Amasai, chief of the captains, and he said, "We are yours, O David. We are on your side, O son of Jesse. Peace, peace to you, and peace to your helpers, for your God helps you." So David received them and made them captains of the troop. And some of the Manasseh defected to David when he was going with the Philistines to battle against Saul, but they did not help them, for the lords of the Philistines sent him away by agreement, saying, "He may defect his master Saul and endanger our heads." When he went to Ziklag, those of Manasseh who defected to him were Adnah, Jozabad, Jediel, Michael, Jozabad, I guess a second Jozabad, Elihu, and Zeletai, captains of the thousands who were from Manasseh. And they helped David against the bands of raiders, for they were all mighty men of valor, and they were captains in the army. For at that time they came to David day by day to help him until it was a great army, like the army of God. David's army at Hebron. Now these were the numbers of the divisions that were equipped for war, and came to David at Hebron to turn over the kingdom of Saul to him according to the word of the Lord. Of the sons of Judah, bearing shield and spear, 6,800 armed for war. Of the sons of Simeon, mighty men of valor fit for war, 7,100. Of the sons of Levi, 4,600. Jehoiada, the leader of the Aaronites, and with him 3,700. Zadok, a young man, a valiant warrior, and from his father's house 22 captains. Of the sons of Benjamin, relatives of Saul, 3,000, until the greatest part of them had remained loyal to the house of Saul. Of the sons of Ephraim, 20,800 mighty men of valor, famous men throughout their father's house. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were designated by name to come and make David king. Of the sons of Issachar, who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, their chiefs were 200, and all their brethren were at their command. Of Zebulun, there were 50,000 who went out to battle, expert in war with all weapons of war, stout-hearted men who could keep ranks. Of Naphtali, 1,000 captains, and with them 37,000 with shield and spear. Of the Danites who could keep battle formation, 28,600. Of Asher, those who could go out to war, able to keep battle formation, 40,000. Of the Reubenites and the Gadites of the half-tribe of Manasseh, from the other side of the Jordan, 120,000 armed for battle with every kind of weapon for war. All these men of war who could keep ranks came to Hebron with a loyal heart to make David king over all Israel, and all the rest of Israel were of one mind to make David king. And they were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brethren had prepared for them. Moreover, those who were near to them, from as far away as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, were bringing food on donkeys and camels, on mules and oxen, provisions of flour and cakes of figs, and cakes of raisins, wine and oil, and oxen and sheep abundantly, for there was joy in Israel. All right. And while I was reading that, I hope I remember the scripture properly, but this actually had me thinking about how in the New Testament, when there was beginning to be divisions amongst different communities of those following Jesus, how, that I think it was the Apostle Paul who desired for all of us to be united in one mind. And I think, or I don't know why I'm hearing Peter, but they were united in one mind, and they broke bread and added 3,000 to their number that day. It's making me think of that scripture right there, because this chapter is talking about the union of their hearts, their minds, and their spirit towards the will of God. And also, while I was reading this morning too, this had me thinking about how there's another verse that says, when I was a child, I did childish things, and when I became a man, I put aside those childish things and did the things of men. So basically, kind of, there's a time and a place for everything. And what happened here was that all of these people that joined King David, all of these people who were moved by the Spirit of the Lord, they put aside their silly things, whether it was being comfortable, whether it was drinking, whether it was, we're fine with Saul, no matter what the case was, they put aside their comfort to pursue the will of the Lord. And that's what created this giant army for David, but also helped complete the Lord's purpose that he was carrying out through David. Again, right here in 1 Chronicles chapter, I'm going to say 17 and 18. So right here when David is going out to greet these people. First off, David isn't paranoid. He's like, hold on, let me just filter this, right? And David went out to meet them and answered and said to them, if you have come peaceably to help me, my heart will be united with you. But if to betray me to my enemies, since there is no wrong in my hands, may the God of our fathers look and bring judgment. And right here, then the Spirit came upon Amasai, chief of the captains, and he said, we are yours, O David. We are on your side, O son of Jesse. Peace, peace to you, and peace to your helpers, for your God helps you. So David received them and made them captains of the troops. So right there at the very beginning of 1 Chronicles chapter 18, then the Spirit. So he was moved by the Spirit to answer David in such a way to show David that their hearts were inclined towards him and the purpose of making him king, as he was rightfully called to do, or called to be, I should say. So really, this is just about the way in which the Lord, he can, the Lord, he can move us, but we have to allow him to work through us first. And that means that we're not clinging on to our comforts. We're not clinging on to the things that we necessarily enjoy via our flesh per se, but rather allowing the Lord, much like wind, to move through us and to guide our footsteps to where he is calling us to be. And all of these people, again, the sons of Issachar, Zebulun, Naphtali, Asher, Manasseh, Ephraim, so many more. And even those from the house of, even from the tribe of Benjamin, Saul's own people, were so moved by the Lord that they themselves, a good amount of them, a lot of them did stay with Saul because, like stays with like, but many of them had chosen to follow and pursue David, even though he hadn't even been anointed king, because they were all moved by the Spirit of the Lord. And, by doing that, what they did was they formed this mass army, and I actually almost want to do the math to figure out how many people. I mean, from the Reubenites, I'm just reading right here really quick. 100, and the half tribe of Manasseh from the other side of the Jordan, 120,000. That's already 120,000 added to these large groups of people already. So again, when the Lord speaks something, it does not return to him void. It happens. So when the Lord speaks, be prepared that it'll happen, and he will move, whether it's through the hearts of other people, whether it's creating a commotion, but nonetheless, the Lord had spoken that David would be appointed king after Saul, and that Saul would fall, and that none of his sons would take over the kingdom. The Lord spoke that, and we see this amazing way of it happening because of all of these men of God who have their hearts inclined towards the Lord and his will and carrying out his will. So because they are seeking him, because these are true men of God who seek the Lord is able to use them and work through them in order to be able to carry out his purpose of making David king. And again, this is just a very amazing way of doing that. And also right here, I just want to read 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 40. Moreover, those who were near to them, from as far away as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, were bringing food on donkeys and camels, on mules and oxen, provisions of flour and cakes of figs and cakes of raisins, wine and oil and oxen and sheep abundantly, for there was joy in Israel. And there was joy in Israel because they were all carrying out the Lord's purpose, and they did not feel a disturbance in their soul that they were doing something wrong, or that there was, because, when the Lord operates in us, when the Lord operates in us, or the Holy Spirit, I should say, the Holy Spirit is the one that convicts us of certain things. When, for example, when we sin, and no matter what that type of sin may be, and we feel that grievance of the Holy Spirit, it's very important for us to listen to that, because what it's trying to do is it's not trying to make us feel bad as a person, but it is trying to let us know that we did something that is hurting our spiritual walk and growth with the Lord God, and doing things that are further adhering us to our flesh, adhering us to our desires of our flesh, and adhering us to things of this world that are one day going to pass away. Heaven and earth may pass away, but the word of the Lord will never fail. But again, one secret that our flesh doesn't tell us is that one day our flesh is going to die. We know this, but we very often forget that when we are brought things such as comfort, comfort, alcohol, drugs, fornication, whatever the case may be, or money, things of those nature. I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is fleshly gratification separates us from having that relationship that helps continue our spirit to grow. Because I'm going a bit off topic here. I'm going to try to make this short. But even way back in the book of Ecclesiastes, the knowledgeable teacher, he comes to understand that none of this is stuff that we're going to be able to take with him. And even also in the book of Job, when Job loses everything, Job, everything but his wife, and he's saying, naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I will depart. Because again, he also knows that when he dies, he's not going to take his body with him. He's not going to take anything with him. But what we do take with us is our memories. What we do take with us is our love, the spirit that's within us. And that's why the Lord wants us to focus so much on growing our spirit. But also, the other thing too is that we were all created with a purpose in mind. Again, the Lord does not make any mistakes. He created all the beautiful plants in nature. He created all the amazing animals that we have grown to love. He's created all the fruits and vegetables that we have grown to enjoy eating and toiling for, and creating all these amazing recipes for. He created the water that we drink that keeps us alive, the air that we breathe, that's the perfect balance. And when I say that, think of like, that gave me the imagery of like a dad setting the thermometer at the perfect stat and going, no one's allowed to touch this. That's like God. He set the air to the perfect stat so that we would be able to breathe properly. Because again, if those levels changed, it could greatly affect us in very, I want to say pretty negative ways, since we've already adapted to this. But the point being here is that the Lord created everything good that we enjoy each and every day, but he also created us. And when he created us, not only did he create us in his image, he also blessed us with names, and our names bring purpose into our lives. And when I say that, our names are not just a vocal sound that we utter out in order for people to get our attention. No, also, and I'm saying this because there's also this video where somebody is describing that when we breathe, right? When we breathe, technically we're breathing out the name of God. And upon saying that, every time we breathe, we're technically saying the name of God, right? And it's representing that God is our life force, first off. But second of all, that brings me to, thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain, which brings me to, we should not be using our breath in vain. Our breath is a gift from the Lord. The Lord sends us breath. The Lord sends us heartbeats each and every day. He knows how many hairs we have on our head. He knows how many footsteps we're going to take. He knows what time we wake up. He knows what time we go to sleep, because he's the one waking us and putting us to sleep. He knows when we sit. He knows when we stand up. He knows everything there is about us, because he's the one that formed us in the womb, and he made us fearfully and wonderfully made. But back to what I was saying before, thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain. We should not be using our breaths in vain. So to flee from the evil desires that this world uses to attract us and to trap us, whether those evil desires be, I don't know why I just thought of Vegas, but evil desires being things of like sexual immorality, or getting super drunk, participating in orgies, doing lots of drugs that confuse and alter your mind, or even just being too comfortable sometimes. Sometimes being too comfortable can be an issue as well. And there's a difference between when the Lord brings us to green pastures and still waters, and simply being so comfortable that you're afraid to take steps forward and take a chance towards something that your spirit is crying out to you for, much like being trapped in a very unhealthy body, that you can't go and do the things of life because you're trapped under all of these years of this unhealthy body. So that's why it's so important for us to build up our spiritual self. And we can do that through means of fasting, through means of prayer, through means of reading our word daily. Things of these natures that help us connect with the Spirit and remember what's truly important. Not just chasing after our drinks, not just chasing after our food, not just chasing after our bed after a long work day, but truly seeking the Lord in each and every situation. Because when we do that, we strengthen our spiritual self, and it allows the Lord to move within us so that we can carry out the purpose that he has called us to be in. Because again, much like the body of Christ, we all exist in the body of Christ, but my hand is not the same as my foot. They serve two different purposes, but nonetheless, they're still part of the same body, and they carry out the will of the Lord. And that, my brothers and sisters, are what we are called to do. Whatever it is that the Lord has blessed us with, whatever it is that in our spirit that the Lord is calling us to do, the Lord does not do things without purpose. So it's really important to make sure that, we remember that life is more than just food and clothing and the body. And Jesus tells us this too, that life is so much more than that. But also those who find the Lord, those who seek the Lord find the Lord, and they find favor from him as well. And it's so important for us to remember that, because, it's the Lord that brought us here. It's the Lord that created us here, each with our own unique purpose and blessing and gifts that he has instilled in us for us to be able to serve the world and to serve others. All in the name of his glory, of course. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like, subscribe, and until next time, I hope all of y'all take care. Bye-bye!